Thank you, Colonel Saab. Namaskar, all the esteemed members of this panel. I would like to thank Mr. Aditya Tikku, who so passionately brings in such wonderful people to discuss matters which concern our security. I have just finished 2 days ago the shooting of my film, The Kashmir Files. I think I'll have to write not one but 2 or 3 books to explain how difficult it was to shoot that film in 2021. And that really makes me wonder how people like Manoj Raghuvanshi professed their journalism in 1990s. In fact, I am so glad, I am delighted, and I am blessed that I am face to face with Mr. Manoj Raghuvanshi. I have been trying to get his number for some time, as for some reason I couldn't get it. I wanted to thank him that one of the persons who inspired me to make this film is him. In fact, Manoj ji, you will be happy to know that a lot of research came from your daring journalism. In fact, one of the characters who is playing a role of a journalist, though he is not playing your kind of a journalist, but I made him look like you, just as my tribute to you in this film, in this historic film.
Thank you so much.
So, बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद आपको उसके लिए. I have just read and listened to what happened in 1990. I always took a lot of pride in knowing, in believing that I am a very politically and socially aware person. Being highly educated, I thought that I know it all. But when I started researching for this film, I was crying all the times, not because of the tragedy, but because of self-pity, that I was so ashamed that I had no idea about what happened actually over there. We talk about the exodus, we talk about the genocide, we talk about the killings. But I want to present a totally different take, because we know most of the things by now. And the things which we don't know, I would suggest people go and see Mr. Raghuvanshi's videos, or when my film comes, he can see. But I want to talk about something which I couldn't speak anywhere else. When we talk about the genocide, what is this genocide? Of course, killing of people, rapes, murders, looting, all these things come under that. But I believe art, literature is the soul of any society. A society without culture is nothing. Before I talk about social media, because this is directly connected with social media, you cannot imagine India or Indian philosophy, Indian ideology, Indian culture, or the complete idea of India without Kashmir. Let's start with the basic. Panchtantra, it came from Kashmir. Natya Shastra, which we talk about the whole world, the science of theatre, what we are doing right now is also sort of a theatre. Every movie you take, the Netflix you watch, that science, Natya Shastra, it came from there. Ayurveda, yoga, Patanjali, it came from there. Musicology, it came from there. One of the greatest literary figures of the universe, Kalidas, came from there. Abhinav Gupta from there. Musicology, medical science, mathematics, you name it, architecture, aesthetics. The scholars and the experts of every single possible field were in Kashmir. And that's why they are called Pandits also. A lot of people like to dispute it, but the Pandit, anybody who traveled from India for higher studies, for the highest knowledge, stayed back over there, he became a Pandit of that subject. Kashmir was the cradle of civilization, as Greeks called it, not Indians, but Greeks called it the cradle of civilization. It was the knowledge center. That's why people came to loot it. Nobody goes and loots a poor village. People only loot that village where there is some money. So it was a knowledge center. And even in those times, 700 years ago, 800 years ago, people knew whoever controls knowledge controls everything. Whoever controls culture, art, literature controls everything. In fact, a lot of people, it won't be wrong for me to say, it was the Silicon Valley of the first millennium. A society which was 100% based on Hindu culture, Hindu philosophy, slowly in last 600-700 years, and especially after the partition, we have brought that population to almost nil. Now, what are the repercussions of this? People say that take Kashmiri Pandits back to Kashmir and Kashmir will be the same again. No, it's absolutely wrong. It's a mythology. It's a political myth. You can never recreate Kashmir. Because when you break temples, you're not breaking Hindu temples. You are breaking thousands of years of heritage of architecture. You are destroying spiritual centers. You are destroying knowledge centers. You are destroying community centers. Today in Kashmir, there is no theater and no cinema hall. In last 30 years since the genocide, there has been no great work of art, literature, dance, poetry, anything from Kashmir. I'm not talking about Kashmiri Pandits spread all over the world. I'm talking about from Kashmir. I was there last week and I had asked lots of scholars there. All they could present to me was war literature, conflict literature. There was no progress in music, in art, literature, culture, philosophy, ideological growth, sociological growth. Nothing. I think that is the biggest genocide which didn't place, cultural genocide which took place not in Kashmir. Of course, physically it happened in Kashmir, but it has also somewhere weakened the culture of India. And that's what I want to tell you, where social media comes into play. Because in our education system, we do not ever teach the value of Kashmir in the evolution of Indian culture, the culture which is the soul of this society, and when that soul is weakened, your security also gets weakened. Because the integrity of people, the geographical and cultural and spiritual, emotional integrity of the people gets broken, gets shattered, becomes weak. When the social media came in, we thought that by writing about all these things on social media, we are doing great service to Kashmir, but we did not realize that how these terrorists, aided by Pakistan and other enemies of India, have created a total world of social media which we are not even aware of even in 2021. For example, all of us know about Facebook. Now Kashmir has its own cash book, KASH cash book. That is the underbelly. I was told by the Director General of Police that the fastest communication system exists in Kashmir in the whole world. You step at Kashmir airport, in 5 minutes the entire valley knows that you have stepped and what's your plan. Today, narco-terrorism is taking place through the deep web of the dark web of Kashmir. Kashmir, these young generation which was born after 1990 and which have no connect with the culture, overall integrated culture of India, these people have grown up to believe that Kashmir has 4 or 5 neighbors like Afghanistan, Pakistan, China and India. They have no idea, despite the spread of social media, that they are part of India, and innocently they believe it because their own local social media network is so strong that keeps them isolated from the mainstream thought. And which is why the role of social media today cannot be just jingoistic, cannot be just hyper outrage. It has to be more educational. I think it is the onus is on us, also our government of the day, and the whole lot of cultural bodies, that through social media we use it to reinstate the lost cultural power in Kashmir. And I'll tell you how it can be done. It cannot be done only by repeating the sad, tragic stories. We should use social media to educate the Kashmiri youth today, to make them understand that they have no future and no present without being emotionally, spiritually, and culturally connected, integrated with India. And this can be done by telling them, educating them how, when they integrate with India, they can economically become more strong. One question I asked every single youth when they were talking about free Kashmir and independent Kashmir was that how will they make money? And they had no answer, because their tourism is also going to depend on India. And they have no answer. They don't know. There is such a big void. There is such a big void. They want to belong somewhere. It's like an orphan child who wants to belong to some family. And I see this as the greatest of the opportunities which has occurred in last 30 years. That with social media, every single Indian can try and bring them back to the mainstream thinking and understand that they have no future without India, on the economic front, on the social front, on the cultural front. Now, education, post Article 370, abrogation of Article 370, there's another problem which Kashmir is facing now. That earlier their young boys and girls used to come to India to study. Whatever happens, at least 1%, 2%, they saw the world differently and they understood the relationship with us. But now they've stopped coming in. I think the only mode of communication which can be there, like before me the speaker was talking, can be social media. But unfortunately, social media, we are not... See, the social media they are using is their internal things which they have created on internet. Their own dark web they have created, which is being used for all kinds of narco-terrorism, illegal activities, terror activities, misinformation, and basically for chaos and conflict against especially the army. Now what if we reinstate 4G there and we try to develop it as far as communication is concerned and channelize most of our communication towards Kashmir, which is possible today in the world of technology through algorithms, and make them understand that without integrating on all fronts with India, they have no future. This is my little understanding, what I could gather. So if I have to divide Kashmir, I would divide it in three parts. There are three different generations which are living in Kashmir. Generation number one, which believes that partition never ended in Kashmir. And truly so. And truly so. Because for these old people, the partition has never ended. Kashmir has regularly been in turmoil. And these are the people who are most vocal against the sinister politics of Abdullahs and Muftis and everybody practically. I think it's important to listen to these people and help them make some impact. Now the second generation is the confused generation and actually the most dangerous generation, which is post-70s, post-emergency period, people who like Yasin Malik and all, people who actually participated in militancy, in terrorism, and influenced a whole lot of people. So all these 45, 50-year-old people, I call them the most dangerous generation, because they are the ones who keep igniting this hatred, this terrorism, and they are the ones who influence, motivate, and inspire the younger lot. Then the third part of the generation is all those who are born post 90. Now I have little empathy for them, despite I know it's not a very popular thought, but I have a lot of empathy for these people. Because most of them have never met any Hindu in their neighborhoods. They have never seen any Hindu custom. They have never seen anything which is we can call Indian. By the time they were born in 91, 92, all the Hindus were out. Nobody would ever utter a word Hindu. No mention of Shiva, no mention of Sharda, the Saraswati. No Indian festivals, nothing. the attire, food, costume, nothing. They have seen nothing. They have grown up in a void. They have grown up when the 5 times azan is playing everywhere. On all their radios, it's always the Islamic sermons are going on. From 90s, they have believed that Pakistan is their friend, India is their enemy. They have seen only one-sided propaganda. They did not even have the advantage to see both sides of the story and then make a choice, even if it is a wrong choice. So they have grown up with absolute absence of knowledge, information, and today we are not helping. I see it as a potential population which, if Indian government wants, if the policy makers of India want, they can pressurize the government to open up the 4G and use the social media to our advantage to reinstate Hindu, Indian, Sikh, whatever culture, our own culture back over there, so that they also participate, slowly start participate in mainstream functions starting with 26th January, 15th August, 2nd October, things which are somewhere in between and not far right or far left. I think that is how we can bring Kashmiri youth into back into the main fold. This is my little understanding. But before I end this, I want to share something with you, that yesterday a fatwa has been issued against my film and me in Kashmir. And it set me thinking. It was all over the news. It's Ashok Bhai is here, so I want to inform him also. And it set me thinking that nobody has read my script except for my actors. We have just finished the film, not even started editing the film. Who are these people who are issuing fatwa against me? Then I figured out it was triggered because in the light mood, I had invited some people for a Wazwan dinner to my hotel in Kashmir, in the Lalit Hotel. And since I am a vegetarian, so I asked the chef to make some vegetarian food for me. He said, "Sir, it's very difficult to get a vegetarian dish in Wazwan. Earlier it used to be, when the Kashmiri Hindus were there, nadru and palak and or 3-4 dishes they would serve in Wazwan. But now it has become 100% non-vegetarian." So I insisted. So he made one vegetarian thali for me, which was not really Wazwan, but it looked like that. So in a light mood, I just posted that it is impossible to get vegetarian Wazwan in Kashmir, but since I am here, so change is going to take place. Now that created so much of outrage and uproar, and they thought that I am interfering and changing their culture. Now that brought tears to my eyes because it is so sad. The mention of the word vegetarian makes them think that Indians are taking over their culture without realizing that for thousands of years since the existence of Kashmir, Kashmiri Pandits have cooked some exotic vegetarian food. Now from the culinary landscape of Kashmir, we have totally deleted, omitted, destroyed, demolished the vegetarian word. This is the danger which is facing Kashmir. And it is a very, very sad thing. They have issued a fatwa against me, which I will fight. That is my fight. I'll see what has to be done. But I would like to appeal to all the young people of India, all the influencers, and all the media personnel like Ashok Bhai and Aditya to keep talking about how to reinstate our culture back in Kashmir. That would be the real answer to genocide. Only when there is a cultural cohesiveness, the cultural ecosystem existing, then only Kashmiri Pandits can go back. Then only a Vivek Agnihotri can go back and make a film over there. Then only we can talk about Kashmir being part of us. Unless and until that happens, everybody's life is threatened because of these really, really dangerous Islamic terrorists. Since until that happens, there will be more and more fatwas issued against many Vivek Agnihotris and against the Kashmiri files. So I think the onus is on all of us to use social media to our advantage rather than creating more conflict. Thank you. Namaskar. Jai Hind.